he stole quite a bit of my thunder up here. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everybody that is here tonight. We have patients and advocates and doctors, physicians, and most importantly, our patients. So please give a round of applause for everybody that is here tonight. When I think about my journey that I've had with Crohn's disease, not personally myself, but my first husband I met in 1991, and he told me that he had Crohn's disease, and I was, what is that? And I was not sure. We dated for about 5 years before we married, and he had a very difficult time with Crohn's disease. He went through many bowel resections, and the last drug, biologic drug that came out for him was Remicade. And unfortunately, his body did not accept Remicade. He actually experienced, his joints became immobilized by Remicade. So he was no longer allowed to have administered that drug. Unfortunately, in 2003, he passed away with complications due to Crohn's disease. Austin at the time was only 4.5 years old, and my youngest son was 2 weeks shy of turning 1. So needless to say, it was a difficult time for me, and it was a difficult time for my family. During that time, I obtained my master's in elementary education, and I made my way back into the classroom. At that time, I actually had thought I had seen the last of Crohn's disease. When my husband and I were married, we sat down with 2 genetic specialists and also our GI specialist, and we asked about, before having children, because we wanted to find out the genetic codes, and they gave us that 80-20% that you always hear about. 80% chance that you would not have Crohn's disease if you have a child, 20% chance that you would have that outcome of having a child with Crohn's disease. So they did not at all discourage us from having children at all. So we went about and had 2 wonderful, beautiful sons that I am very, very proud of. As I said, I thought we saw the last of Crohn's disease. That was not the case. Austin, who is my inspiration, in November 14, 2011, was diagnosed at the age of only 11 up here at Children's Hospital with having moderate to severe Crohn's in 2 areas of his small bowel. Needless to say, for me, the red flags were already flying up 5 to 6 months ahead of time. And it was quite a devastation for our family because I didn't want to take that journey again. Austin right now, it has taken him 1 full year to actually adjust to medications. He was first on 6-MP. It wasn't strong enough. He also was put on 6 months of 60 milligrams of prednisone. I'm sure many of you in here know what that does to you. He had difficulty at school. It was a difficult time for him, and we realized 6-MP wasn't working. He also started the first biologic drug, which was Remicade for him. And like his father, that's why I think there's so many genetic codes out there, his father had a reaction with Remicade. And unfortunately, Austin had the same reaction that his father had. His joints, his knuckles, his knees, and he's an avid baseball player. You can't take that away from him. It just was debilitating for him. At the time, we talked to different doctors, and it was then decided that we were to switch to Knarr. So right now, he is on Knarr. He has been on it for 2 successful years with self-injections every 2 weeks. And I can't say he's in remission, but he is much better off than he was 4 years ago. So to that, it's been a wonder. I will say the accomplishments, which you had already stated. In 2013, and I want to piggyback on what was talked about today, my husband and I remarried, and thankfully Stuart has joined our family of 3 and has been very supportive of our family. We heard about Allie's Law that was passed with in Maryland, it's the Restroom Access Act, and we jumped on the bandwagon with that. Austin had been denied bathroom privileges in different locations, especially at the outlets. If you go, you'll see that, oh no, you can't use our bathroom, you have to walk that far to use the bathroom. If you have Crohn's or colitis, you know you can't do that. So we jumped right on that, and I personally knew Delegate Conway, Norm Conway in Maryland, and my husband, very fortunately, knew Senator Mathias. So we actually met at Norm Conway's house, sat down, and we were determined to get this law passed. At the time, Maryland had, in fact, had a law in place, but if you know that law, it required 20 or more retailers to be in hand for you to use a bathroom. Well, if you're a private retailer, you don't have 20 or more employees on hand. That would be a big, huge conglomerate like a Boscov's or a big place, Macy's. So we changed that. We worked through that, and that bill passed with Austin's help. Austin spoke in front of the House of Delegates. He gave vital testimony. I testified as well also, and that went through the delegate, through the Senate unanimously last year. And now Maryland is the 13th state to have the Restroom Access Act passed. So it was a very big accomplishment for us. We have spent the last 3 months, Katie Ramirez, if you could raise your hand back there for me, please. She had contacted me with working with Delaware, since we're the Maryland Southern Delaware Advocacy Group. They were interested in finding a spokesperson to speak out on biosimilar drugs. Since Austin is on a biologic drug, Knarr, they wanted biosimilar drugs, which is not a generic form of a biologic at all. But they needed somebody to come out and speak. So for the past 3 months, Austin and I have been speaking in Delaware, and the bill actually passed. We are very proud of that. And to be quite honest, it would not have passed without Austin's testimony right here. He is the patient. And I'm going back to something that Dale Dirks said earlier in his meeting. I was paying very close attention, who is the Washington representative over the past 33 years. He stated, changes are being made by you, the patients, and that's what Austin did. And that was for Delaware, to have those biosimilars put into the market actually at the end of this fiscal year. So at the end, they should be in place in Delaware. Another accomplishment that we had, if Katie could raise her hand one more time. I met Katie 2 years ago. I think I called her up on the phone before our first walk in Salisbury, and I just said, hey, Katie, I saw you on, I think, Facebook or something. I want to join your walk. And it was our first Take Steps walk in Salisbury. And she's like, sure. I think she was actually getting her children into the car at the time. And I said, okay, we'll be there. And we were able to come out that day and walk in Salisbury. And I had an intern at the time, because I'm a teacher, a grade teacher, and she goes, no, I'll bring my sorority sisters out. Well, I was thinking about 5 or 10, 15. She must have brought about 40 or 50 sorority sisters. And it was an amazing walk. That was our first year we had our gala. We raised $12,000 that year for Take Steps. Yes, in 2 weeks. And so we were on the bandwagon for that. The next year, actually, we had Austin's gala, and we raised $13,000. And we, again, for 2 years consecutively, we have been the top Take Step Walks team in Maryland for the past 2 years. So, it's been wonderful. In closing, I'd like to say that my passion and my heart is to bring awareness and funding for CCFA, and ultimately for finding a cure. And I will not stop until that is done. One of my favorite quotes, there's many. If you want to love me now, then you have to learn to love my past. Because the struggles I went through yesterday made me who I am today. And everybody out there who is a patient, please be proud of who you are, because you are very important. Thank you.